Hi, I'm Paul, and welcome to another episode of TFL Hot or Not. Today we're going to find out if this car, the Lexus GSF, is hot or not. Well, under the hood of the Lexus GSF, we've got kind of old school meets new school. And when I say that, what I mean is this is not a turbocharged or supercharged engine. It's a big old V8, you know, kind of like how they used to do it, but Lexus is still doing it. But they've also added a bunch of technology to it. So it is, you know, while it is an old V8, quote unquote, it's 5 liters, it's direct injected, it's also got port injection as well, and it has titanium intake valves. You add all this up in a really high 12.3 to 1 compression ratio, and we end up with 467 horsepower and 389 pound-feet of torque. Now that's at sea level, we're at a mile up, so it's going to get hurt a little bit more than a turbocharged or supercharged car would up here. But this is a lot of horsepower and it's a lot of car. Now backing up this high revving big V8 engine, we've got an 8-speed automatic transmission. It does have paddle shifters on the car. They call the system speed shift. And in the very back, the differential is kind of interesting on this car. It's got a full-on mechanical torque vectoring rear differential. And if you know how these things work, you get a lot of manufacturers that claim they have torque vectoring, and they do it by braking the inside tire to help control wheel spin, sometimes called an electronic limited slip. That's good, but it ain't great. And what this car has, the actual mechanical torque vectoring system, is far superior because it can actually control the rear of the car, not by slowing the inside down, but by overspeeding the outside. So if you kind of visualize that, it makes the car turn better, and it doesn't slow it down to do it, it actually makes it go faster. It also has several different settings in the torque vectoring differential, as well as fully adaptive shocks on this car that have 30 different settings that they can go through. So while this looks like kind of your old school big old sedan, it's got a lot of really, really good tech in it. And that's why this is not just a F Sport, but this is an actual F model from Lexus, which is their true performance division. And as always, guys, we're at IMI Motorsports Park that's in Dacono, Colorado, and they also have not only the track that we drive on and do hot or not, where you can come out here and try and set your own lap time, but on that track you can rent carts, and they have drifting events, all sorts of stuff. And then, hey, that's not it. They also have a bunch of off-road, so they've got dirt bike tracks and all sorts of different things you can come do. So really, anything you want to do with an engine or a motor, you can do it here. So check the link below for IMI Motorsports Park. All right, gonna do a lap in the Lexus GSF. Really looking forward to this because I enjoyed the ISF so much. Same V8 engine. These things just really work. So hopefully this GSF will be as good as its other vehicles in the F lineup, all the way from the LFA that I've driven before, which is an amazing vehicle. So Lexus, known as a luxury brand, but they know how to do performance as well. Just rips. Just really nice chassis, good turn in. Puts power down well.
.107.10.
Wow, it's a little bit chilly out here, so I think that slows us down a bit. So maybe let me try one more.
Okay, let's go for one more.
Okay. So the GSF has a lot of kind of cool stuff going on in it. First of all, the interior, we've got like an Alcantara dash and all the kind of neat stuff there to make it look cool with carbon fiber in the interior. But one of the things that's pretty interesting, I was talking about like the torque vectoring differential and the adjustable shocks. So there's a lot of adjustability in this car, and it's actually kind of all right here. You can actually take the car from your regular normal mode it would start up in. You got an eco mode for, you know, trying to hypermile on this thing. It still does 24, 25 on the highway, so it's not terrible. But what we're more interested in is when you start turning this dial to the right. And so when you flick it over to the right, you can go into sport mode, and then you have sport plus mode. So this is basically the adjustment of the powertrain and the suspension system. So you're telling it, you know, I want the shocks to be nice and stiff. I want them in that range of sort of track usage, and then I want the engine response to be really sharp. So when I get on the gas, I want like immediate throttle response from the vehicle. And then down here, TVD. This is the cool one, right? You don't see this in many cars at all. There are other cars that do have torque vectoring differentials, TVD, but not many that are adjustable. And so here we have an individually adjustable torque vectoring differential where you can actually set it to be standard, which will put the least amount of power to the outside wheel. You've got slalom, so like autocrossing type slalom setting, and then you've got a full-on track setting. So within that, there's a lot of adjustability there that, again, you don't really see in many cars at all these days, especially individually. And then I also have the ability to turn off traction control and stability control, and those are both off too. So we're in the full track mode. We're in Sport S Plus with the torque vectoring differential set to track mode as well. So should be good times in this powerful V8 Lexus. And the world's smallest speedometer. So a lot of things I like about this car. That's not one of them. Now we're looking at tires and brakes on this vehicle, actually kind of as good as it gets. The brakes are badged F on them, but they're actually 6-piston Brembos, and the fronts are 14.9 inches in diameter, and the rears are 13.5 inches in diameter. So monster brakes on here. And then we're looking at the wheel tire combo. We've got 19-inch wheels all the way around with a staggered setup, and they say the magic words on them: Michelin Pilot Super Sport. So that's a good sign right there that we've got a car that can turn a real lap time around the track. And looking at a 255 in the front and a 275 in the rear.
So how was it?
Man, this thing's a lot of fun. Probably not super fast because the track's a little dirty and it's a little chilly, but everything on this car works so well, and so it's a treat to drive. It has just killer power, amazing sounding engine, revs all the way up to 7,300 RPMs. Those big Brembo brakes, Pilot Super Sports, again on a cold day. But overall, just a fun experience. It'd be cool to, you know, have this thing out when the track was a little cleaner, a little warmer, and I'm sure we could get a better lap time out of it. So the question, of course, does it all add up? Is this car hot or not? I mean, look at the ingredients. We've got a 5-liter, 7,300 RPM, 467 horsepower V8, coupled to an 8-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters, and of course in the back, that mechanical torque vectoring differential. And then wheels and tires, we've got 19-inch big fat Michelin Pilot Super Sports with Brembo brakes on the car. So really impressive package. And I think just as when I drove the ISF in a prior episode, it's just like an old school hot rod. Not many cars like this anymore, so you got to enjoy it while you can. No turbos, just a big naturally aspirated V8 engine and a bunch of power. Again, hurt a little bit by the altitude, more so than a turbo car would. It really just screams, sounds great.
104.88.
That's good, actually.
Yeah, that was really good.
These cars really work. I mean, I don't think people think of Lexus as the performance brand they really can be. And remember to differentiate a true F car from just an F Sport, which is really more of a cosmetic package. But for me, absolutely hot. This thing is super fun around the track, well balanced, the engine sounds amazing, the brakes are fantastic, the car is communicative, it really talks to you as you drive it around, and it's a hoot. Probably a little cold, the track was a little dirty, looks like they've been doing some drifting out here. With all of that, the car is just amazing to drive and absolutely think it's hot. So if you're thinking of a real performance car, I would look at something like this over the equivalent BMW or Audi. It's rear-wheel drive only, so that may be a problem if you live like where we do, but for most of the country, it just means more fun.